All right, welcome back to the Football or Nothing podcast. My name is Ben Oniblay, and as usual, I have with me Joel and Kaysin. For today's episode, we are looking at some selected teams we think are going to do well in the Premier League season. So we are looking at Arsenal, Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, and surprisingly, we are looking at Brighton. We are going to talk about their first few games for the season, how their transfers is going to impact how they set up, and how the strength and weaknesses in each of the things that I have already mentioned. So let's go straight to Arsenal. You all, we know that Calafiori is coming in. He had a very good tournament at the Euros. We need to talk about how that is going to impact Zinchenko and how Arteta will look to set up his team going into the season.
Okay, so Arteta believes in football that speaks for itself, expressive and entertaining. And his football philosophy is 4-2-3-1. That's how the formation is set up in. Now, 4-2-3-1 means he will need 4 defenders, he will need 2 holding midfielders, he will need 3 attacking midfielders, and then a striker. Now, Gabriel is available, Saliba is available, sits in the heart of defense. Ben White obviously starts at right back. Calafiori walks into the team and benches Zinchenko as left back. The 2 holding midfielders are going to be Declan Rice and Jorginho. Unfortunately, Thomas Partey goes to the bench. And then he has Odegaard, he has Trossard, Saka, and Jesus up front. Now, with Calafiori, what he brings is defensive solidity. That's 1. 2, he's one of those defenders who can drive the ball forward. And even if the offensive midfielders are not able to find the attacker, he can drive the ball forward and split the midfield and the defense of teams. So he also does that. Now, because he is more defensive minded compared to Zinchenko, now if Arsenal want to go a 3-back, they can still maintain Calafiori and have a 3-back, and they are still going to be very, very solid. Now, if they are not going in a 3-back and they are playing the 4, Zinchenko usually inverts like we saw last season, but Calafiori cannot do that. So he will still stay there. That means that the number of numbers or players they are going to get in the midfield and even in the offensive half or third are going to reduce, because with Zinchenko then Rice goes a little bit further and he can pick up the second balls and and tidy up and even shoot and get some goals. But this time around, Zinchenko is not the Calafiori stays, so that's not going to happen, which is going to force Rice to stay with Jorginho.
Yeah.
Now, if Rice is staying with Jorginho, then the numbers up front are going to reduce, meaning that this time round, Arteta is going to depend hugely on his wingers to do a lot of magic for him, and Odegaard as well. So he has to have his A game on. Now, if all of this are going to happen, another thing you have to consider is that could Zinchenko go on the offensive underlap or overlap? Yes. But can Calafiori give you that? No. The best he can do is do an overlapping. And when he does an overlapping, we are looking at his end ball. Is he going to cross it in or is he going to cut back? Now, if he cuts back, if it were Zinchenko, because Declan Rice could move forward, if he cuts back, Rice could pick the ball. But this time around, there's no Declan Rice in the final third. So even if he cuts back, then who picks up the ball? Odegaard will be in a different zone doing his own thing, So if he cuts back, perhaps there's not going to be any player there. So these are some of the variations you have to consider, when you are looking at Arsenal. Now, they are going to have a lot of defensive solidity. Already last season, they were the best defense in the league. And if you want to win a league, you need a good goalkeeper, you need a good defense, and a prolific goal scorer. That will give you 25 goals. So I think that Arsenal have a decent team. They have added a very good player, a decent one, of course, and possibly, like I put them, second place or third place is going to be theirs.
I'll come back to you on their first 5 games, but Kaysin, we know that this is the 3rd season Arteta is going to really challenge for the Premier League. I'm just wondering, is it going to put some sort of pressure on him to really deliver? Because the 3rd season in a row, if he's unable to win the league, then he needs to be questioned.
Yes, there will be a significant pressure on Arteta, because if you look at the investment that the team or totally Arsenal has done for the past 5 years.
$700 million.
So definitely, Arteta needs to prove something this season. And if that is not done, the fans have all right to question Arteta. I think much must be expected this season.
But if he's unable to win the league, are we going to say that he wouldn't be the right man to really take Arsenal forward?
Look, bro, he's been at Arsenal 5 seasons already. He's only won 1 FA Cup and 2 Community Shield. And if the 2 Community Shield, they are not trophies, they are less shield.
Yeah.
So the only thing he's managed to win is an FA Cup after 5 seasons and spending $700 million.
Charlie.
If he doesn't win this league, I think that he sees the exit door.
Do you agree?
I agree totally, because there's no point.
But are we not really taking away the Pep effect here?
Which is?
Because if Pep decides to leave at the end of the season,
it's unconfirmed that Pep will leave. He only made a statement which is triggering people to say Pep might definitely leave next season, but we all don't know yet.
Yeah, but I'm saying that just in case he leaves, doesn't mean that Arteta can stay, because
about there are managers with Arteta's CVs.
Because for the past 2 seasons, he has been the one stopping Arteta from winning the league.
Except if Edu decides that he is going back to business as usual, hoping that something might happen. Because we have seen in the past after Wenger, they have always hoped we will win it and giving managers the opportunity and chance.
Not
but
like Chelsea.
If you have done this 5 years and you are going into your 6th season and you are not seeing results, I think that if I were Edu, I give him a sack letter. Quickly he leaves for somebody to continue.
Okay, so let's talk about their first 5 games of the season. So they play Wolves at home on Saturday, 17th August, and then they travel to Aston Villa. They play Brighton, Tottenham Hotspur, and Manchester City. How many points are we looking at here?
Oh, I'm looking at the 15 points all. 15.
Even with Tottenham and Man City involved?
No 2 ways. Arsenal are known to be teams that can challenge this young, like this middle table teams. They score back-to-back goals. You see them scoring a lot. So definitely we are going to see the same kind of results again.
Do you agree here?
Well, last season against Wolves, they won 2-0. Against Villa, they won 1-0. Against Brighton, they won 2-0. Against Spurs, they drew 2-2. And against City, they drew 0-0. So what I see is that it may happen that they win 3 and lose 1 and draw the other.
Okay, all right. Now let's go to their London neighbours. I know it's probably one of your favorite teams, Chelsea. Yeah. We know Enzo Maresca is taking over from Mauricio Pochettino. Yeah. And I know you have your concerns about
I will still
Enzo
say
Maresca.
them. I will still say them.
Okay.
Because, like I always say, Pochettino was doing something nice. To some extent, he moved the team from 12th position to 6th position. And Todd decides to throw all these hard work into the bin and bring in somebody who is inexperienced. And again, Chelsea has a problem. They have a bloated squad. And somebody who is inexperienced, even though he's a Pep guy, to just manage the team and get them some position, well-deserved position on the league table. I think Chelsea, they are destined to fail.
Since you asked that, I
tell me if I'm wrong.
Yes, you are wrong. Because I think Chelsea is going to play at best top 4, 4th position.
Really?
Yes, I put Chelsea at 4th position.
I remember Thomas Tuchel was sacked 6 games into the season after Champions League, and if Enzo Maresca should have bad performance within the first round, I won't be surprised if the plug is being pulled on him.
That's an interesting one.
Because I fear for him.
All managers fear for their jobs.
No, for me, the only person I fear this season is Enzo, because the job he's taking is very difficult.
Okay, so let's talk about how they are going to set up tactically, because we know that there are new signings coming in. Neto, right. He's both left-footed and right-footed, so it's likely that he might play on either wings. We know Cole Palmer used to play as an inside forward, but we don't really know how Maresca would want to set the whole thing up. So just walk us through how they might set up going into the new season.
Okay, so Maresca sets up in a 4-back, but the instruction is it eventually turns into a 3-back, you know. So they set up in a 4-3-3 formation. But if they are playing the game on the offensive, they are playing a 3-2-5 formation. So this is the thing. Now in the 4-back of 4 players that stand at the back, unfortunately, Reece James is out, so that leaves Chelsea with one option, Malo Gusto.
Yeah.
Then, if you are going to play your his boy Giver,
Vega, yeah.
Vega, pardon.
Policeman.
Yes. Yes, and you pair him with Fofana. Then you have
There's Levi Colwell.
Yes, then there's a Liverpool. So that is your back four. But Gusto is going to invert. So if Gusto inverts, these are the two that are going to play in your midfield. Lavia goes out, Caicedo walks straight into the team. Yes. Then Enzo Fernandez. So that's your two. Then up top three. Three
up front.
Right, 3 up front, right? Yes, so 3 up front. Pedro Neto walks into the team. I'm seeing a Cole Palmer and Nkuku playing together. Now, the beautiful thing about Cole Palmer and Nkuku playing together is what Germany sought to do at the World Cup. Play a double 8 or a double 10, you know. But this time round, Nkuku and Cole Palmer is going to play as a double 10 or perhaps a double 8. You know, one is going to function at the other. Now, let me shock you. The whole of last season, Chelsea's team was driven by 2 players, Conor Gallagher and Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
Now Conor Gallagher is leaving.
That move is in danger now, but it's likely he might leave. So
I hope he doesn't, you know. But if he's going to leave, then up front you are left with 2, Jackson.
Yeah.
You know, so Jackson starts. Now, if this is how you're going to set up, if you are attacking, Gusto inverts, then you have 3 players in the middle. But Gusto's invention is not to defend. His invention is to look up top and progress the ball to either of the 2, either Nkuku or Porter, you know, Palmer. Sorry. If Palmer gets the ball, obviously, you know what Palmer is going to do. Now, the interesting thing is that Nicholas Jackson last season banged in 17 goals.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are saying that he's not a good striker, but he banged in 17 goals. This time round, he's not going to be the main man to score your goals, but he's going to be the one to run the channels to create the space for Nkuku and Palmer to bang in the goals. So this is a little bit, but if you allow us go into tactical, then we can break down the team well for everybody to understand.
So we don't have a deep dive into that.
It seems he has much confidence in this Chelsea team.
He does. But let's look at their first 5 games for the season. It's a bit tricky because they are playing Manchester City, the defending champions, in the first game. We saw what happened in the preseason game, losing 4-2. So it's a tough one in their first game. But then after that, they play in the Conference League, but we wouldn't count that into this. And then they go to Wolverhampton Wanderers. They play Crystal Palace. They play Bournemouth, and then West Ham, and then to Brighton.
Ooh.
These are the 5 games for Chelsea in the Premier League. How many points are we looking at here?
Great. So last season, Chelsea is the only team that won all 5 of his final games.
Yeah.
Okay. So if they are translating that form into this season, then they are going to begin on the winning front. But this is it. Now, the 4-2 that they lost against City, it was not because City played extraordinary. It is because the first 2 goals were defensive blunders.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for Chelsea, you don't have a leader at their back. So if City applies pressure, it's possible that you are going to, repeat the same mistakes. And unfortunately for you again, your goalkeeper Sanchez is mistake prone.
But they bought
Jorgensen, but I'm not sure he'll be starting.
Well, Sanchez still starts for me. Yeah. So I think that against Manchester City, it's going to be a slim defeat for Chelsea. Now, last season against City, Chelsea drew 1-1 and then won 1-0, if you remember, against City. Then Wolves, they lost 4-2. Chelsea lost 4-2 against Wolves. They won 3-1 against Palace, won 2-1 against Bournemouth, and then won 3-0 against West Ham. On the back of this, with an improved side and a pragmatic manager, I think that Chelsea are going to get 12 points out of the 15.
You are my man. How many points?
Charlie, the first match there, definitely you lose, and it will be a heavy one, because
That we all agree.
because your coach has admitted that this season there will be a lot of goals. He has admitted it,
Yeah, he has.
and per what I saw at the preseason, a little mistakes from the back, passing from the back, and with the kind of teams that you are going to meet, if what you all said, they are going to do the same thing, if they are going to press you guys very high on the pitch, definitely we are going to see Chelsea conceding goals. That's the team performance. So if Chelsea are going to concede so early in games, definitely I think they are going to suffer.
Okay.
So I'm looking at most
3 points.
maybe
3
West,
points out of the 15.
now you figure you will win
Okay.
with this kind of passing the ball at the back. There's no urgency. We mistake and famo.
No, yeah. So
And
that's,
3 points.
Have I be true? Yo, you know be true.
he said 12 points.
See the goals they concede against Man City then Madrid.
Why they won't talk about the Inter Milan game? And I thought that was understandable because they were now trying to understand the system and all
Yeah.
that. I know there are going to be times where we sort of overplay it and we are
Right.
caught out of possession and all that. But 3 out of 15 points, come on.
Come on, Chelsea.
Well, let's move on to the other teams. So now let's talk about Liverpool. Obviously, the two most important talking points are the presence of a defensive midfielder. We know that Zubimendi will not be joining, and the coming of Arne Slot. But let's start with the defensive midfielder issue. I think Endo was decent last season, but I don't know how reliable is going to be this season. So how is this going to affect Arne Slot's setup?
Okay, so welcome to Arne Slot. I think you are a fantastic manager. I think you are going to do excellently well in the league, and I expect you to win the league this season.
No pressure.
It's just a good thing that at least one Liverpool fan believes that Slot can do something this
Of
season.
course, he is going to do something.
I'm just saying.
No pressure.
And if he does it,
No
please, when we are jubilating, don't come and join us.
But I've never said Slot is going to fail.
You said you are managing your expectations.
Yes, because already Klopp has disappointed me in so many ways. So I don't want to have the same experience with Slot.
Okay, great. Now, Arne Slot set up 4-3-3 formation. Now, Arne Slot is one of those coaches who likes the free flowing football, the
Total football.
total football. He's a disciple of the cross.
Yeah.
So he likes to build from the back. What better goalkeeper do you need except Alisson Becker? Can withstand pressure. He knows how to pass the ball. He knows how to dribble the ball. He knows how to kick the ball. In fact, he's a complete goalkeeper. So he likes to start from the back. Now, the only challenge with this Liverpool team, and the reason why we might struggle, is like you mentioned, the number 6 or defensive midfielder we don't have. Endo is growing. He's over 30, But if you know players from Asia, Japan, China, Korea, the more they age, the better they get.
Yeah.
So far from preseason, the indication is that Arne Slot does not fancy Endo's game. So he rather prefer to play Szoboszlai alongside McAllister. Now, Szoboszlai alongside McAllister, Szoboszlai is not playing as a number 6.
Yeah.
He's playing as a number 10. Now, in the final game against Sevilla, we saw that he tried Gravenberch there. And Gravenberch did pretty okay. But against the top teams, he won't survive. So, what Arne Slot is going to do is that, look, and his defensive pair is also going for Kwanzaa and Van Dijk.
Which is
Two
bad.
players who are able to pass the ball very well. But in terms of being hard tacklers, they are not.
Yeah.
So if you have a stubborn attacker, like in Mikel Antonio, like Fulkrug, who is coming to West Ham, Liverpool is going to struggle. Kwanzaa is a mistake-prone defender. He's young. We can forgive him. He's learning. Now, if you set up in a 4-3-3, you have Kwanzaa, you have Van Dijk, you have Arnold on the right, you have Robertson on the left. Then in the three midfield, you have McAllister, you're going to have Szoboszlai and Ryan Gravenberch, you know. Then an attack, you have Mo Salah, you have Diogo Jota, and Luis Diaz. Yeah. So this is how we're going to set up. But the instruction is that we are playing a 4-back system with Szoboszlai playing as a number 10. But if the rowing gets tough, then Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to invert when we are attacking or on the offensive. If Arnold is inverting, he's not inventing to come and screen for the defense. He's inventing for his passing range. So he comes to the middle, adds up to the numbers, which frees Szoboszlai to go further forward and pick up the second ball. You know, yes. So when Arnold comes into the midfield, Szoboszlai then stops functioning as a number 10. His main role there is to be at the box, pick up the second ball, distribute, or even, because he has a good hit the ball to get some goals. Now, Liverpool is playing or building from the back. Now, what we are doing is, ball as that in local calendar, your friend at the top football.
You beat, just beat them.
Ball at the top football. Pass. Wait for Salah to make the run. Play the through ball. Salah gets it. He either scores, shot across, Luis Diaz. Now, only thing we are praying for is that Diogo Jota does not get injured. Mm-hmm. If Jota is able to play consistent 25 games for Liverpool, you are sure that we are going to win the league. But if Jota doesn't play, then our only option is to throw in Darwin Núñez. And of course, he's my man. But, you know, he's wasteful. He's wasteful. It's rather unfortunate that we don't have a certain Unai Emery. It is unfortunate that we don't have a certain Hazler, because these are disciples of Marcelo Bielsa. And Marcelo Bielsa has shown that he can get the best out of Darwin Núñez. But Ancelotti is not a fan of Darwin Núñez. So we are stuck with Diogo Jota. And hopefully he doesn't get hurt. So Liverpool, we look like we can win the league. And I am confident that we will win the league. But then we have to be very, very cautious, especially in the midfield.
Casey, do you have anything to add?
One thing I like about Slot's style of play is they focus more on creating chances, scoring opportunities, and they are very, very high on tempo. And so my worry is, if they are to press very high, our defense, that's our problem. Because playing Van Dijk and Kwanzaa, we know both of them are not that hard tacklers. Yeah. And again, if you look at our midfield, you were always saying we need a number 6. I was thinking Slot will find us somebody like N'Golo Kante, a player in the shape of N'Golo Kante.
But he's still available on the market, I think.
Right now, he has aged, and the energy that we need to play this kind of game is not there. So I think if we're able to get somebody in the shape of even Caicedo, who can chase ball, who can make that dirty tackles that we are seeing in Fabinho, we could challenge for the league.
But I'm surprised that you are yet to move for a player like Ugarte.
You know, Ugarte initially wanted to go to Manchester United.
Yeah.
You know, and the price for Ugarte, over 50 million. Liverpool will not dish out that money.
But we're willing to trigger the clause for Zubimendi.
Because we are going to break it down. You know, we are not paying the host over 60. We'll spread it over a period. That's a problem with Liverpool. You remember that Andre Tridande also from Arsenal, Brazil. Last season we were linked with this player for a very long time. You don't have money, go to him and sign him. At least if he comes, he gives you some decent performance, more than what Curtis Jones and
no disrespect.
You know, Szoboszlai is going to do in the number 6 role.
No disrespect to Curtis Jones, please.
Well, I'm not disrespecting, but we all know that in fact, if you have Curtis Jones in your team, you are likely to concede a lot of goals.
That's true. Let's talk about their first 5 games for the season. So they are playing Ipswich Town, one of the newcomers, and then they go to Brentford. They play Manchester United in the big game, Nottingham Forest, and then Bournemouth. How many points?
15.
Straight away. You're 15.
I agree, 15.
15, very easy.
You guys aren't concerned about Man United?
No, my challenge rather is with Ipswich.
Well, the new teams tend
Yes.
to worry when they come
Yes.
fresh, and especially Liverpool are going there away, so definitely they could cause some havoc.
All right.
But with United, Charlie,
Unfortunately, last season we couldn't score them, 0-0, 2-2. But
the preseason
Slots beat them not too long ago, so we are hoping that he's going to beat them again.
Okay, now so let's just go straight to Manchester United then. They've now confirmed the signings of Matthias De Ligt and then Mazraoui. So De Ligt actually worked with Ten Hag during his days at Ajax.
campaign.
It looks like he's just rebuilding that team from Ajax. But it was interesting to see how they set up tactically against Manchester City. They were really trying to build out from the back. My concern was because United is always like a traditional counter-attacking team, they're always looking to find their wingers as quick as possible. But once you try to possess it and you don't find those wingers easily, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah, you see, in the past, United had very pacey, quick, and very good wingers. But now, they are left with Rashford and Ahmad.
There's Garnacho. Don't forget the star boy.
Garnacho is not starting any game, If there's Rashford plays.
You don't want to bench your boy.
Charlie,
No. I mean, Garnacho is a big team, big game player.
Somebody
No
who
doubt.
has-
So in the big games, you would bench Ahmad.
then bring in Garnacho. He's a big hitter.
I doubt. I doubt. Look at all their preseason games, and even from last season, Ahmad started getting playing time, and through the preseason, he's also been playing. And even the community showed he had a nod. Now, what Ahmad gives you is that he isolates the player and deals with the defender there and takes him out. If Ahmad is able to find his game and do that very, very well, then he brings a lot to Manchester United. One good true pass,
Then it's a good.
Hoyland or Sexy,
Sexy.
gets the goal for them.
Sex. Joshua sex.
But Ten Hag likes to set up in a 4-2-3-1. Sometimes transmogrifies into 4-3-3. But this time round, it's changing. 4-2-3-1 is going to turn into a 3-6-1 formation. Now, the reason why De Ligt and Euro are very, very important. I don't think that he was going to sign De Ligt if Euro was fit.
Yeah.
But regardless, if De Ligt is in, then Euro recovers. That is going to be a very tough one. If De Ligt is playing good football, does he bring Martinez back to pair him at the heart of defense, or he leaves Martinez to play there? Yes, not recently we heard that Shaw has gone on injury.
Yeah.
So if Shaw is out, then perhaps Martinez stays on there. But if Shaw is back, between Euro, De Ligt and Martinez, which two are going to start? Don't forget that Harry Maguire is also, lurking around.
Yeah.
And he's a Brit, he's an English. So you have to find a way to play him in the team. So that's going to be some headache for him. But if they are setting up their 4-back, what I see now is that you have Martinez on the left. You are going to have Harry Maguire and then De Ligt in the heart of defense. Perhaps they will not start. He will not start the first game because he just came. But in the subsequent start now. So that's their back 4. Now in the middle, they are going to have Kobe Menu, obviously. Kobe Menu starts. And he's going to start with who? Casemiro. Yes. Those are defenders. Now, top 3 are going to have Bruno Fernandes up there. Funnily enough, I see that he has bought a Sexy, but he might play Bruno Fernandes as a number 9.
That's a first 9.
Because of how Joshua operates on the wings.
Yeah. So you have Bruno Fernandes, you would have Rashford on your left, you have Ahmad on your right, and then you have either Sexy or Holland is on injury if he comes fine. So if you set up that way, then when they are on the offensive, they turn into a 3-back. And the 3-back, funny enough, it is rather Martinez that inverts and not Dalot. Now Martinez inverts because he is a no-nonsense defender. And when he comes into the midfield, he can also play number 6 actually. So when he comes in the midfield, he understands the role. Now, if you have Martinez, you have Menu and Casemiro, that's a solid midfield right there, which allows Menu to come for the ball and progress it, leaving Casemiro and Martinez to do the blocking and the screening for you. When you do that, then you leave Bruno Fernandes to roam the pitch all over the pitch and do his thing, because we know he's a very good passer of the ball and he can find strikers. The only worry is that Rashford seems to be out of touch. Ship him out. Ship Rashford out to PSG and get a better player. Once you do that, you have a decent Manchester United team. Unfortunately for Manchester United, I don't see them playing in the top 4 this season.
Okay, that's interesting. And I'm sure that once they fail to play in the Champions League, it would have implications on Ten Hag. Yeah. The last time we were talking about how
they brought
Van Nistelrooy.
We still don't know the job of Van Nistelrooy. Why is he there?
Yeah, he's now. They say he's an assistant coach, but I think that it's part of a larger
assistant
plan.
Coach for what? Is he a strikers coach? Which viewer will explain his job as a strikers coach?
Yeah, because I don't get it. During Van Nistelrooy's days, he was a penalty box striker.
Yeah.
But look at the profile of their strikers. Holland and Zexi. They are mobile strikers.
So how does he come in there? Then there's a job for Van Nistelrooy. There's another job for him.
So how does he teach them how to score? Because all he knew was to stand around the box, get the ball, and knock in the goal. But they have strikers who rather want to be part of the game, play the ball, and score. So how do you teach them how to score?
I think we would have to really go into this Van Nistelrooy issue. Let's just quickly look at their games. They are playing Fulham in the first game. They go to Brighton. They play Liverpool, of course, and then Southampton and Crystal Palace.
Some 10 points.
Okay. So you indicated that they will lose against Liverpool. And then which other game are they drawing?
Well, there's a small team there.
Brighton.
There's Fulham, Brighton.
Likely they are going to lose.
And Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace, it will be a draw game.
So they are losing 2 and drawing 1.
Yeah.
Okay, I think they win at Fulham. I think they draw at Brighton. I think they lose against Liverpool, win against Southampton, and then draw against Crystal Palace.
All right. Now let's talk about Manchester City. Obviously, the Premier League winners, the defending champions. Pep Guardiola looking to win it for the fifth time. It's going to be interesting. So they've brought in Savino from Girona, and then we know that they are introducing a number of youngsters into the team.
Right.
How is that shaping up for them in terms of their lineup?
Nothing much is going to change. The old guys are still going to start, but now they have very good backups in the young ones. So Pep Guardiola set up in a 4-3-3. He likes to pass and stay, and so you pass till you get exhausted. You remember Guardiola says that for him the best way to defend is to
attack.
So that's what's going to work out. Still, the 30 seconds rule holds. You lose the ball within 30 seconds, you have to win the ball back. So they're going to set up in their usual 4-3-3 formation with Ederson in post. If it doesn't go to Saudi, obviously there's no indication that they will leave now. But he's a Brazilian and they love money, like we all do as Africans too. So Ederson in post. You have Walker on the right if he returns. You have Diaz and Akanji, at the heart of defense. Then at the left side, you're going to have Vardiol. For me, I don't understand why I didn't come to Liverpool to play as a centre back, but I went to City to play as a left back. But that's what money and trophies can do. In the middle, they are going to play the obvious one, Rodri. Ball goes through him, he defends very well. Then Kevin De Bruyne sits with him. Then the 3 are going to be full Foden functioning as a number 10. Then you have Doku on the right, on the left to draw in defenders and fouls. Then you have Erling Haaland up top and Bernardo Silva on the right. That's a solid team. I mean, that's why I said the last time they have the most balanced team in the league. Even if you take Rodri out, you throw in Kovacic, also a very decent defensive midfielder, and he can even, do decent work up front. So City has perhaps the best team in the league, in terms of squad depth. Perhaps they have the best team in the league. I expect that they still keep the standard very high, but unfortunately for them, this time around, they are not winning the league. It's not going to happen this time around.
I'm just looking at in terms of their motivation, because if you win a competition for 4 consecutive times, it can sometimes play in your head that maybe you need to relax or something. But how do you think that Pep is really going to get the boys ready for the season to go in for the 5th one?
It's a tough one. Even though they've won almost every trophy they've challenged for all these years Pep have been there. I think if the rumors that we are hearing is true, then I think there's a motivation for them to do something last for one of the greatest coaches to make it into the Premier League. So I think if that rumors are true, then definitely all these boys must put down everything to go in all hard for Pep Guardiola.
Look, on the issue of motivation, I remember during the preseason, one of their games, our senior colleague Atapoku asked the same question: that how does he keep them still going? You know, he talks about Charlie. This is what you do for a living. You don't need anybody to motivate you to get up to go to work. So they come every season that they came to work and they have to give out their best. So they are working to earn a living. So I think that they are pretty much still motivated. You know, they want to etch their names on the hearts of history and maybe some years to come, just as the likes of George Best are mentioned, you know, Cantona are mentioned. Their names are also going to be mentioned when it comes to legend in the EPL.
And I'm looking at their first 5 games to the season, and it just looks like they are getting all 15 points because they play Chelsea, they play Ipswich Town, they play West Ham, Brentford, and probably the a bit tricky one is Arsenal. Are they getting all 15 points?
No. They lose Arsenal, draw against Newcastle, win the first 3.
There's an agenda there.
I think Newcastle is in the 6th game. So it's Chelsea, Ipswich Town, West Ham, Brentford, and then Arsenal.
Okay, so they lose against Arsenal, but the first 4
They win.
So meaning
12 points out of
12 points,
15.
Well, with Arsenal as my team for the season, definitely City must lose against Arsenal.
So you all agree on 12 points for Man City.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we even come to the end of the episode, you wanted to talk about Brighton because there is something interesting to highlight there.
Yeah, I love this Brighton team and the project they are doing. You know, now Brighton is not going to Europe, so they have the time to challenge like they did in the past. Now, if you look at Brighton, new coach Fabian Hessler, youngest coach in the EPL this time round, 31 years. They had a very good preseason. You know, not too long ago they beat Villarreal by 4 goals. So they have a very good. Now, Hessler believes in 2 things. He believes in intensity and courage as his philosophy in football. He likes to set up in a 3-4-3 formation. Now, if you go to Brighton, Hessler likes to play a mid block, not a low block, not a high line. He plays a mid block, and he sometimes does high pressing. Now, the beautiful thing about this new Brighton project is that in the last 2 seasons they placed 6th. The last season they placed 11th. So what is going to happen this season? They placed 11th because they qualified for the Europa League, and so there was pressure on them. This time around, like I said, there's not going to be pressure. What are their injury situation? Their first goalkeeper is out, so he's not going to be there for the start of the season. So you have Steele. Now, Brighton's goalkeeper is one of the goalkeepers who is very good with their feet. Yeah. He can pass the ball very, very well. Now, with Hessler in the fray, he's a German. Don't forget, the Germans, they like to play the heavy metal football, you know. Now, look at Brighton. This is how they are going to set up 3-4-3. Most likely, it's going to be Estupinian on the left. It's going to be Dunk, their captain now, because Gross is gone in the middle, and then you have Veltman or Van Hacke on the right. Now, if Estupinian is injured, Banco, who is a young player, slots in for them. They have a solid 3-back. Now, in the middle, they've signed Wafer, very tall player, you know, very good with his feet, can block the ball, can stretch, can pass the ball long range and all of that. So, Wafer sits with Baleba. Not Gilmore because Napoli is interested in Gilmore. Yeah. So he'll sit with Baleba, and I'm happy that Baleba finally gets the opportunity to start the game. We get to see the quality of Baleba. Now on the left, solid match, solid player. There's no doubt. Then they have Joao Pedro, who ordinarily is a striker. But now, because of Danny Welbeck, will drop back into the midfield to form the 3, but function as a number 10 for the team. But in real terms, he's not just a number 10. Brighton are playing a two up front, Warbeck and Joao Pedro. Then on the right, fantastic. Call his name for me. On the left, our own Yankuba Minte. I'm excited about Yankuba Minte because I think that Price tag for an African player
30
moving
million.
for not a Liverpool or Manchester United. This is a Brighton.
I
That's
see the potential.
30 million pounds to get Yakubu Mente. And he can do everything in football. He can dribble, he can pass, he can shoot, everything, defense very well. Now, the thing that excites me about this Brighton team is not just the players on the field, but the IQ and the ideologies of the man behind it, you know. So I think that Brighton have a very solid team. If you ask me which team is going to be the surprise team, I am going for Brighton to do that.
Okay, we wait to see on that. Case, any last words before we end the episode?
Well, like I've said earlier, this season we should expect plenty managers to lose their job. And it's for a fact.
Charlie, that's what they do for a living.
Many of them will lose their job.
Well, final words. More goals, expect excitement, expect beautiful football. And sometimes you are watching the game. Watch the game as a coach just a little bit, and you understand the tactical variations in the game, which will help you better appreciate the game. But Charlie, the EPL is back, and they are ready for it.
Our bets should be safe.
No one's bet is safe.
Our bet should be safe.
No one's bet is safe. Alright guys, thank you so much for coming on to today's episode. And thank you too for watching us. Please make sure to subscribe and look out for our subsequent episodes. This is a Football or Nothing podcast. My name is Ben Oniblay. Joel was with me, and then Kason was with me as well. We'll see you another time with the preview and the post-match analysis of all the games coming up this season. Do stay safe.